And really, it's about team support. And when counter jungling, it's not just the jungler. It's about what kind of team support you can get. Well, when you look at their team, they have a strong level 1 team. Perfect. That's what you want to start off with. Then they have a strong team about helping their lanes or their jungle as it progresses, because Ahri has the mobility to move out of the mid lane and win those jungle fights. Lee Sin, we've seen how strong he's been in lane, and he's if he puts pressure on the lane, that's going to allow Nunu to be even more aggressive. And since they're on blue side, that means that the bot and top lane are situated around the larger jungle clear for purple and the red buff. So as the game progresses, the Ahri and Lee Sin will enable Nunu to be more aggressive about counter jungling and trying to throw Shen behind.
Yeah, it is fortunate for 4Not, however, that Shen is a jungler who doesn't need a lot of gold. The utility comes out of his ultimate and his taunt, and for those things to happen, he doesn't need to be super, super fed. And has that shield too to give him the tankiness that he needs. So he has built-in tankiness, which is going to make it so the counter jungling, while effective, isn't going to be as effective as perhaps maybe against a Lee Sin.
Oh, he's going to walk into it. Don't do it. Turn around. They don't see him. They moved out of there. They walk back, but does Leona have the stun? He's walking right into the middle of the team as they're going for the level 1. The quick first blood. One bad Brad caught way out of position.
Oh, man, and must have been really surprised to get in there. It looked like he wasn't going to do it, but then he did it anyway, so why not? But that's actually going to just position 4Not to go down and maybe try to make a play on red. We'll see how they decide to handle that, but I mean, it's a bad start for Jace. He's going to start down, and Lee Sin getting that 1 kill advantage, so it's actually going to help Lee Sin a whole lot in lane to be that far ahead.
Yeah, and Chuuper walking the long way around. I was concerned he would make a turn there, but they're actually moving into him. Chuuper is going to walk right into the team. This is going to be the follow-up, so there's a kill onto Chuuper, and it is 1-1 now. But like you said, Lee Sin having the advantage over Jace is going to be very painful, considering how strong we've seen IMTerra's Lee Sin has been in this series.
Yeah, and I mean, Janna got the kill there rather than maybe one of the carries or the top lane or the jungle or anyone but Janna. So the first blood gold and combined with the fact that it's on Lee Sin, one of the laners, is actually going to put 4Not in a much better position, or put Chuuper in a much better position.
But think of all the more wards that Janna's going to be able to get.
Yeah.
I mean, that is actually an advantage in a lot of situations, but yeah, it would have been a lot better if it was onto one of those carries. They will back off. They steal that red, and they will be able to come down. They actually don't miss on any CS. Graves misses one, but not really that big of a deal. So that helps them, come back into this lane. They have a little bit of experience from that red buff, so they're even in there. And already off the bat, there's the ward up there. Kelsey Jeong coming in, steals the blue wraith, and JD Woot is behind.
Oh, very nice with the ward there too, just to do the snowball. But here comes Mordekaiser, going to do a lot of damage to Nunu, but with that ability to slow and the help from Ahri, Mordekaiser getting burnt down pretty quick. So he's actually at a huge life deficit against Ahri, and that's going to be a real problem.
Yeah, the early true damage works very well against Mordekaiser because you just burst down the shield quickly and eat away at his HP. But that's one of the strengths of why Nunu can be so aggressive in the counter jungle. It's not just his speed with the consume, it's the fact that he is very tanky early on, and people just can't take him down a lot of times. And here he is just continuing the pressure. He's going to steal the big golem there and continue to throw Shen behind. So we'll see, how that progresses. But right now, there's a lot of pressure on that top lane. And wow, the Leona coming in for Nico the Cat, almost taking him down. The shield just protects him, but Chuuper gets some pressure and actually works out for Parole. He gets some damage back, but he is pretty low. And Chuuper, they can try and win that bot lane.
Oh, and here comes Leona again, just doing more damage. And Graves is taking a lot. It's going to be, the buckshot onto Leona. And everyone is just having a low life party down here in bot lane.
And now Kelsey Jeong going for that red buff. He finds himself out of position. He gets out of there with the flash, and JD Woot uses his ghost trying to chase him down, but we'll be able to pick up this red. We'll see if Nunu comes back around for it. It's a little bit more risky not having the flash, but he's actually going for it. He just knows he can come in, and that Shen is kind of slow. He will get pretty low, and the smite is up for Nunu, so he's actually going to consume and smite and be able to kill this very quickly. Does he get it? No. Shen actually outsmited him, so JD Woot was able to win the smite battle there.
Yeah, very precision timing on that smite to be able to take that from Nunu, because he can Q and then smite so quick and just steal your things, steal all your things. And it actually, that's one of the strong benefits to Nunu, but wasn't able to take advantage of the strength.
And Parole is very close to going down. Another Q. Chuuper takes some damage, but Daydreaming could actually go in on this. If he gets it, they might be able to burst him down fast enough. It would be worth the sacrifice. It would be an honorable death, but they do back off, and they will be able to push into the tower. So 4Not's going to miss out on some CS, and even more importantly, they're missing out on the cannon minion, which is a pretty big boon to your experience. So Chuuper will get a nice little advantage in that bottom lane.
Yeah, and just lots of experience, and that's, I mean, that experience level, having those additional skills, that additional damage can make such a huge difference in bot lane. So when Ezreal and Leona finally come back, I think we're going to see some aggression coming out of them. But Ahri with their low life, I mean, the sustain isn't necessarily there to against Mordekaiser. So Mord, even though low life, has that shield up, is able to push and shove really well.
Yeah, Mord is generally really strong as like an anti-AP carry in mid lane, and Ahri just doesn't have enough damage to take him down. Then having the manaless champion versus Ahri, you know, she's just kind of slowly worn down. They are chasing after Chuuper, though. The slow from Nico the Cat, they're getting some harass. 4Not Parole, not able to get in range. But we'll see once Ahri hits 6 if maybe that's a different story. And the only concern is that, like again, like we said earlier, Nunu doesn't quite have enough damage to take down Mord with any ganks.
Yeah, Ezreal's actually a lot like Nunu in the way that you can't catch him. He can kind of just poke you down with his ability to jump out in and out of the fights, and with that poke with the extremely low mana cost now after the buff on that. It allows Ezreal to kind of just sit back and even, just kite you and really get in your face. Oh, and Mordekaiser trying to do some upfront damage, gets charmed and almost loses his shield, but it's still there, it's still intact, and he's still looking pretty strong.
Yeah, so he's going to be pretty safe to farm there. The concern for him is going to be when he wants to start farming those rates, whether or not Ahri and Nunu can put that pressure on him when he's just too far away from the tower to get back, because the perpetual snow from Nunu can be pretty devastating for Mord, but he is starting to go for it. So V-Man 7, he's starting the farm, and he is even with Ahri right now, but we'll see if he pulls ahead. Both of them have that cages early on, so we will probably see some quick DFGs. Usually, the Mord build, you go DFG and Abyssal Scepter. That's pretty standard, and it will make you pretty tanky. Or you can hold off on the DFG in a lot of situations until a little bit later.
Is Mord someone you ever get Abyssal on? Does that actually work? I mean, I know he gets the benefit.
Didn't I just say DFG and Abyssal?
Oh, is that what you said? Okay, sorry. No,
No, that's fine.
I actually don't listen to anything that you say.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Hey, there
by
you go.
all means.
But back in the top lane, I'm looking at the farm. It's really even. Jason, Lee Sin, even farm. Oh, and the bot just chunking him down with that slow from Janna. Oh, and that's a bad position to be in, Chuuper, but just continuing to poke. And
or boat, both.
Boat.
Home. Boat.
Home.
That's an inside joke, by the way, guys. Everyone in the office tells me that I have an accent. I don't think I do. But Mordekaiser, he is actually getting some help from JD Wu, so it's kind of weird for Shen to help him, but, by all means. It does slow Shen down a little bit, and they are pressuring Parole again. Chuuper is pretty low, but the exhaust, it will help Kelsey Jiang get into range if he gets the snowball, but the exhaust from Janna just barely keeps him out of there. The shield as well. Parole is very close to going down. One more E in from Leona. They pick up the kill and get back out of there.
Yeah, really good play out of the bot lane, but here comes Shen. Going to try and make something happen, except you and Janna don't have any damage, so it's actually not going to happen, and so he's just going to push the lane a bit, help stabilize it there. But top lane, a lot more even farm, 58 to 52. Last game we saw actually a major advantage to Lee Sin, so doing a little bit better job, trading and farming up.
And he's kind of played a little bit more passively in this lane so far. Whenever we kind of look up, he's using his Q to farm a lot more. He's just trying to nuke down those ranged minions and not really trying to face Lee Sin, because Lee Sin is winning all of these damage exchanges, just slowly beating him down. And he gets the quick Qs in there, is able to back off pretty safely. So, we'll see if Lee Sin can take control of the lane, but that is the thing. Lee Sin is a skilled laner, and when you play him right, it's really difficult to deal with. Dagon going to be grabbing that blue, so that'll help him out in that mid lane. He will be able to spam against Mordekaiser, and this is kind of where you can start to turn things around as Mordekaiser. So we'll see whether or not he can do that against V-Man, or if he can, or if he's just going to try and roam a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. This is where it's going to give him the sustain to be able to go against that ridiculous sustain of Mordekaiser with that shield. And we haven't seen a lot of aggression on that mid lane. I think a lot of that is because V-Man's playing remarkably safe, warding well, and doing what he needs to do to make it to that late game where he's not, behind and he's relevant in the team fights.
And Ahri just doesn't have enough damage yet. She just can't take him down, but she's going in for it anyway. Goes with the ultimate, doesn't hit the charm, and so V-Man will be safe for a second here. But Leona and Ezreal going onto Nico. He does drop very quickly, and Parole backs off. But the quick burst from the Ezreal Leona lane is very powerful.
Yeah, I was really going to laugh if Ari managed to kill more
I know.
there.
I was watching it. I was like, come on.
I really
come
wanted
on.
it to happen. But yeah, it didn't. And Nunu continues to,
Oh,
and the red
one
buff.
bad Brad took it. Kelsey's going to go down. He's going to get the flash over the wall, but can Brad follow up on it? I Am Terra is out of position, gets the shield over to the minion, but the taunt and the kickback from Lee Sin, but they do have that red buff. Brad turning onto Kelsey Jiang. There it is. He uses the flash. I thought he was in range without it, but they pick up the kill, and he was able to counter-steal his own red.
Yeah, let's see if Shen can get the taunt off and the jump from Lee Sin. He's going to be okay, but Mordekai's are really low. This is that is a risky place to back right there, but he's going to go and make it out of there, go back, get full life, and get some items and be in a good position when he comes back.
Yeah, Dagon's starting to do a really nice job in that lane. And it's once you get that blue buff, you can start to put some pressure onto Mord. But we'll see, how that progresses as the game goes forward. And just swapping things up. All the previous games I've done it. I get too excited in these matches. I'm all tingly and everything.
Wow.
So there's the scoreboard swap. But we'll see.
Tingly, everybody.
Yeah,
Real
I am
tingly.
Shen with the taunt onto Dagon. He uses ultimate to get out of there. So actually a really nice play, and that's going to allow V-Man to be safe for a little bit more. And he's not going to really beat Ari, but his goal is to just power farm. And 91 CS 10 minutes in, 11 minutes in, he's doing that so far. So with that ultimate down, Dagon doesn't really have an opportunity to really harass him that well.
Yeah, he's going to be pretty hard to push out of lane with all that shield, and Ezreal getting the kill on Janna, and Janna getting out of place. That it's hard to do displacement with Janna to disengage when Ezreal can jump right on top of you and Leona can jump right on top of you as well. So Janna just getting caught out, and it's actually giving a pretty substantial lead to Ezreal in the bot lane, 3-1-1 to Graves with 0 kills. So Ezreal, this is why you ban him out against Chuuper apparently. He's just a little bit too good, knows how to trade well, and that Leona definitely also helping make the difference.
Yeah, and it happened the first game as well. Even with the disables and disengages that Janna has, Leona just has too much burst along with Ezreal, so she just drops way too quickly. She can't get off anything. She couldn't even get off the Monsoon that previous fight, but we'll see what kind of pressure they get. Parole, his flash is down, but there's the Shen ult, and he's just walking straight at them because he wants to get in range. They do have Chuuper zoned, but Chuuper is dueling with Parole. He's very close to actually picking this up. The Janna ultimate zones him, though. It will hold him against the wall. There's the Janna shield to hold him back, and Shen actually trying to get on Daydreaming, but won't be able to, so they pick up a kill to turn it around.
Yeah, and there's the amazingness of Shen in that he doesn't need a lot of gold. I mean, his farm is, more than Nunu, but Nunu has that Philo Stone. Shen has the Doran shield, and it just uses that. If he just uses that ultimate, it actually helps him really to get those kills and those assists that he needs. And so yeah, Shen is doing exactly what he needs to do, and that's to make plays in lanes.
And they are dropping this turret. We'll see if they actually finish it. I think with the minions here, it is going to go down, so they will be able to pick this up. So that's going to be a nice little gold advantage for them. The only concern is if they're planning on swapping lanes at this point, or where they're going to go from here, because this could open up an opportunity where Ezreal and Leona, because the lane's not going to push back from the tower, we already know that Ezreal is just, so strong right now. He's able to bully around Pearl a little bit. So that long lane will be dangerous. Kelsey Jiang walking in, but V-Man 7, I think he's just a little bit too tanky at this point. He had already worn down Dagon, and he still has his ultimate. If Dagon walks into range, he could get the ultimate. He does get it. He doesn't get the ignite, though, and there's the Nunu ultimate to chase him down. The Leona ult as well. He flashes over it, trying to pick up the kill onto Dagon. Can't quite do it, so they chain CC him. They pick him up, and they will be able to transition to Dragon.
Yeah, it's exactly what they need to do, too, is to make sure that Mordekaiser doesn't get too ridiculous. And good on Dagon to not go in and try to get a kill. That can always cost you pretty huge. But New to stay back and just get the assist and just play it safe.
And now Jace, it seems, has been able to equalize the lane a little bit more. Terra does have a little bit of an advantage, has been really strong so far, but One Bad Brad is farming pretty evenly with him, and now he has a little bit more damage. He's starting to get into those melee strikes a little bit more, so we'll see what kind of pressure he can put on. Chuuper, though, poking at Nico, is kind of baiting for him right now. He knows he can be extremely aggressive because he has Nunu not that far off, and Leona for the backup as well. But Leona's ultimate is down, and this is actually a good opportunity for 4Not to try and poke them down some.
Yeah, Shen going into the top lane positioning for maybe a gank or just to help Jace to go back so he can get that full mana again.
He's just hanging out to help farm. I don't know what he's doing because there's been a couple of times where he kind of heads into the lane.
Just trying to get experience and just hang out. But Jace is going to go back, very low mana. And that's actually, you know, one of the things about going against Lee Sin. Lee Sin, of course, doesn't have mana and has a good amount of sustain with his abilities. So meanwhile, Jace, you know, he's trying to poke a lot, but I mean, if you play it safe and you farm well and you sustain well, you can actually beat Jace. And oh, here comes the dive coming out of Leona onto Graves. Oh, and Janna getting burned down really quick. Is Janna going to make it out? There's the Shen ultimate to help out. And Nunu taking a lot of turret damage in this situation. What is Shen going to do? Mordekaiser coming down too, going to try to make a play. Oh, this is going to be bad.
Mord could get a triple here. They are chasing into Chuuper. Nunu does go down. Parole trying to survive against Chuuper, just can't do it, but Jace is coming as well with the teleport. B-Man is very low, but they will back off. Dagon dropped by One Bad Bread, knocked into the wall, so they turn it around. It is a 2-for-3 exchange, and One Bad Bread with the movement speed, he gives to Shen. Shen can get the taunt. If it's up one more second, he does have it. If he goes for it, I don't know why he hasn't gone for it yet. He disconnected. That is, I'm like sitting there, I'm like, the taunt's up. Taunt him, Shen, taunt him. But we'll see if they can turn it around. I think One Bad Bread has it. With the Ignite, one more auto attack, he can probably pick up this kill in Leona.
Yeah, should be pretty good. Yeah, I can imagine what's going on in the voice chat when people are like, okay, taunt, oh, what is happening? And then finally he's disconnected.
And then they die in like fire.
Yeah, that's pretty quick pause too. He did it really quick to make
sure. The rest of the team, they were like, oh, you know, they saw the disconnect sign come up, and it was probably one of them that were dead. They were like, you know, shit, that sucks.
That's unfortunate.
We'll see, you know, if he comes back shortly. Hopefully everything's okay. You know, they're in the pursuit of happiness, and everything's going to be shining.
Yeah. Not everything that's shining is always gold or something like that.
Thank you.
I like it. I like the obscure music
we'll see if they can pick that up. Lee Sin is pushing down the mid lane, and I'm actually going to get away from the lightning because I hate it when, oh my gosh, is my mouse locked? Well,
that's fun.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, so they're able to pick that up. Lee Sin, in the meantime, he is pushing down the mid lane, and there's not really going to be anyone to fight against him for a little bit. He's not going to get much damage because Lee Sin's not a very strong pusher, and but we'll see if they can try and counter that out a little bit. Even so, really nice fight for 4Nothing. Now they have an advantage. They're slightly ahead. It's basically an even gold game right now, but the kind of team that they have, they need to be even in gold at this point. Mordekaiser, if you fall behind as Mordekaiser, then there's like nothing for you to do. But he does have a Hex deck, so after the cage, he's going for the Hex deck, and we'll see how he continues to build.
Yeah, and here we go. We're going to jump back in this game. We'll see if they're able to make this happen in the bot lane. Oh, and Leona turns around and gives him the kill, I guess.
Well, she was turning around. We saw already to try and like stun or something.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Brad had one more auto attack on her, and Jace's auto attacks when he transitions to melee are just so powerful.
Yeah.
So he's able to pick that up. And JD Wu has the Giant's belt, so we'll see if he's going for probably a Sunfires. But that's going to make him really tanky. And again, once they get tanky enough, it's going to be pretty difficult for Chuuper to deal with them.
Yeah, Chuuper's already having a good amount of problems, you know, with 4Nothing's team. Not great map awareness coming out of Chuuper, unfortunately, and didn't have a good enough map awareness to know that Mordekaiser was coming down and make a big play like that. And they really, Chuuper committed hard to that team fight, and it ended up costing him huge.
It is interesting, though. Ezreal goes with the Brutalizer. So both Lee Sin and Ezreal have the Brutalizer. And that's really just a very aggressive laning item. It's really aggressive early game as well. The damage output on Ezreal is just going to be out of this world. But you know, it slows down his late game build. So Ezreal, he's not going to be as strong as they need him to be in those mid game fights, but these early exchanges, he's going to be really abusive. So really that just shows that Chuuper, he's trying to snowball quickly. He wants to just, you know, get this game in his advantage and then just hard carry.
Yeah, he does have a lot of kills, but he also has a lot of deaths too. Luckily, Graves with only 1 kill. So yeah, that actually positions Ezreal to put a lot of pressure onto Graves and Janna, who continue to push out that bottom lane. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It gives that cooldown reduction. It's gonna help him spam those abilities, and eventually, I mean, I wonder where he's gonna go with that. I mean, we did see a Brutalizer Ezreal in some of the games yesterday too. Didn't work out as effective as they wanted, but Ahri getting caught out by the Janna, and here's Nunu to try to do a snowball onto Janna. See maybe by just putting some pressure, and they're gonna back out after some heavy warding.
Yeah, and both teams are kind of hesitant to take the Dragon right now. Neither team really has the best Dragon team, but they don't want to allow a big team fight for the other that'll, maybe win this game. So both playing passively right now. They want to just farm for the moment. Leona and Nunu sitting mid to see if anyone engages on Orianna, but the ward does catch him out, or if they can catch out Nunu. But we'll see what kind of pressure One Bad Brad can start to push, because the lack of mana is starting to hurt him against Lee Sin. But he's been doing a really nice job turning that lane around, but Lee Sin is out farming him. And this is the point where Lee Sin, while Jace is manaless, can try and push back.
Yeah, that is a pretty significant farm difference in that top lane. I mean, it was really even for a while. I think they were tied at around 95, but Lee Sin is able to carry away the game as Lee Sin gets tankier. Jace has to put additional effort forward to poke him down, and that costs mana, and a lot of mana at that. And so that puts Lee Sin in a really good position to just farm and out-sustain Jace.
Yeah, and so far, bot lane has been pretty even. We've been talking about the advantage for Ezreal, but because it's a kind of a wavering back and forth, like the lane is pushing into Graves, Chuuper hasn't really had an opportunity to abuse Graves that much. So it's kind of working out in 4Not's favor. 4Not's still going to be able to farm, and they won't have to worry about that early Ezreal aggression by just constantly allowing the wave to push into you and then just push it back.
Yeah, here in this bot lane, Ezreal coming forward, just trying to get whatever farm he can get, trying to continue to have that lead. And in the mid lane, Ahri just poking down Mordekaiser, but Mordekaiser just too tanky at this point. They weren't able to stop him as much as they needed to, and now he's becoming pretty huge and a really big authority on the map. He's going to have to be able to dictate a lot of the way that the lane mechanics work now and how team fights are going to go too.
And I think Jace is actually going to get this tower. He will be able to pick this up. And so that continued pushing pressure from 4Not is working out for them. They've been pretty aggressive so far, about having people that can clear out waves fairly effectively in all of the games. So we'll see, if that team gold really helps pull them into it, because it does actually get them into a lead right now. And now Chuuper is alone down bot, and he just can't pressure Parole right now. So, even with that early advantage, he's not able to put on a lot of pressure bot.
Yeah, it's actually really scary right now for Chuuper. They needed to be in a position of a lead coming out of the laning phase. They needed to win the laning phase, and they had the team comp to do it, but it just didn't work out. Some interesting roaming and good ganks coming out from 4Nothing. And then there's the ultimate from Janna, going to push him away.
And Nico doing a really nice job, just barely gets them out of there in time.
Yeah, that was really good. Just good separation and disengage, allowing Graves to continue to farm and get to the late game where he needs to be. And yeah, 4Nothing, I mean, they're looking really strong in the mid game right now. I mean, it's hard to say that they won their lanes, but they went even in the least, and that is enough to be able to be in a good place for the mid game, and Mordekaiser is going to get ridiculous.
And right now, Chuuper's kind of hesitant. They're not really going for any aggressive plays. They don't want to pressure 4Not. They're just, I don't know, they look kind of scared at this point in time. And now 4Not going for that. Actually, One Bad Brad jumping onto Chuuper. He drops very quickly. V-Man over the wall helps some damage, but Jace drops him quickly. They pick up the Dragon, and 4Not is in control now. That should be the advantage of Ezreal, is survivability and safety, but One Bad Brad doing a really nice job picking him up around the side.
Yeah, this is a really bad position for Chuupers, unfortunately. 4Not looking extremely strong, able to go and do some work. And yeah, I'm excited to see how it's going to transition, and I really don't think that Chuupers has a lot they can do at this point. I mean, they're going to be burning all of their cooldowns and all of their damage to be able to take down Mordekaiser, and at that point, the rest of the team is going to be able to come in and clean up.
Yeah, and they just have to play passively right now because they're concerned. A nice thing for them would be to get some nice ward coverage, getting oracles onto Nunu as well, just because the map control for 4Not, Chuupers could be more aggressive right now, but they're just kind of scared of 4Not right now. They don't want to allow any bad engagements, but ward coverage would make up for that. Ward coverage would allow them to just know when they engage, and neither team, right now, it's all been going to 4Not. 4Not has most of the ward coverage. They've been very aggressive so far when they want to take objectives. So a nice oracles from Chuuper would help counter that out.
Yeah, I mean, you say they're scared right now. 4Nothing has a scary team. They have a lot of the ability to CC. They have the damage. Jace has a good amount of gold right now. 4 kills, 174 farm. I mean, man, look at the gold disadvantage too.
Oh, they could catch Leona though. And oh, she just barely gets out of there. Some poke from Jace. He actually might go in with it with the movement speed, but they're out of position. They are trying to pursue. Daydreaming almost going down. The Ezreal ult turns them away. But yeah, they are, starting to fall behind in farm. And Ahri in particular in the mid lane, B-Man 7 is just power farming 231 at 23 minutes, which is kind of the pace you want to set with Mordekaiser. And now 4Not, they're comfortable enough that they're tanky enough to just push it on them. They're going to try and take that tower. The taunt from Shen, not quite in range, but they do drop that outer turret. And we'll see if they just keep on pushing, just keep on bullying their way in.
Yeah, and they're just poking them down. They have some really good poke. I mean, really, they have Jace. Jace is really strong poke right now, taking this other tower. There isn't a lot that Chuuper can do because of how tanky 4Nothing is. Oh, and Daydreaming just gets burnt down in an instant. And Mordekaiser, oh my gosh, picking up Nunu. And this is looking extremely bad for Chuuper's Troopers.
Yeah, they just started making their way down that lane, but the pickoff on Nico. Nico does go down. The ultimate trying to heal her, but there's the tower shot. The Shen ult just barely keeping her alive. They will get some damage onto JD Root, but it is a 5v3. And so that probably could have been a tower for them, but the pickoff onto Janna slows them down. It makes them have to go back. Even so, they got 2 towers really quickly. And the last tower where Nunu and Leona went down, they weren't kind of really grouped as a team. They were kind of hesitant. You saw them walk up, and Leona was like, do I engage, guys?
What do I do here?
Should I be going in right now?
Yeah.
And then she just kind of like walked up and died. But we'll see. They do catch out V-Man. I Am Terra trying to get him. He does get the slow. If he can get the kickback, he gets to the other side. But Mordekaiser gets off the ultimate. He does go down anyway. So nice pick off from Chuuper trying to turn this around.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what they needed to do. They really need to catch V-Men out away from creeps without a shield, like a boat without a paddle. Is that the expression?
Up the creek without a paddle.
Yeah, that thing. And yeah, so he was up
just
a creek.
Just down to the brass tacks.
Yeah.
And Dagan actually going in after Nico will be able to drop him down pretty quickly, but he barely gets out of there with the exhaust. All right, so you were saying?
That's all I had, was just the creek metaphor.
Right.
It sounded pretty good in my head. But yeah, they needed to catch V-Man out. They did. So that actually puts them in a better position. It looks like they're going to try to take that bot tower. However, Jace taking that top tower and just continuing to build that lead. 5 towers to 1 and going to be 2 here in a second. So pretty good lead from 4Nothing, but I think the significant difference is the lead in the champion selection. Really, they have a lot better late game champions, and they're well farmed, and that is not what you want to see right now.
But 4Not kind of caught off. He is going into Kelsey Young, but it is a 2v1. He does have his team coming into him. He will try and get out of there. The Nunu ultimate trying to take him down, but it's not enough. Actually, just barely pops the Janna shield. I Am Terra trying to get him over the wall, but he will be able to regroup with this team. So we'll see what kind of pressure he can go. He's just taunting him a little bit. But they do have the pink ward on Baron, so they are safe for the moment. And with their gold advantage, Jace can go back. It's not really, that any disadvantage for them. But that split pushing from Jace has been so key for 4Not in both game number 2 and in game number 3. Yeah, that's really the big reason why they won the previous game, and he's been so pivotal in this game as well.
Yeah, and I'm looking actually at Shen right now. 0, 0, and 10. Oh, getting caught out with the charm on Janna. She's going to get burned down really quick. And here comes the Ezreal just for kicks. Just doing a little damage to Graves.
They pick up the kill very quickly. Nice job from Dagan again.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it's interesting. Chuuper is slowly trying to get back in this game.
This is what they need to do.
That's exactly what you're right. That's exactly right. This is what they need to do, catch people out. And this is actually going to be a huge dive onto Jace, and the Leona diving onto him. The tower doing some damage, though. Leona getting burned down pretty quick. Is Jace going to be able to make the best of the situation? Yes, by getting a kill. Good for him. Lee Sin coming out with a kill. And this is going to be a tower for Chuuper. And actually, I mean, things are starting to look a little bit brighter for him. For Chuuper's Troopers. Shen goes in with the taunt, going in on Ezreal. Ezreal getting burned down pretty quick. Graves, you're going to need to be careful. Here comes a Shen. Oh, didn't make it onto Graves. And
they're still strong enough to turn it around, though, because Mordekaiser is such a tanky front line. Terra getting the Q, trying to hit over to Chuuper on the other side. The flash over from Nico gets off the slow, gets the whirlwind. The Shen taunt as well. He does drop. But Chuupers, they're trying to force the issue. They're behind, but they're not sitting back and playing passively because they know they need to win early in the game. They can't allow it to continue to drag on, which is what they've been doing for such a long period of time. So they start to be aggressive. They start to roam as a team, which is what they need to do. But then 4Not just turns it around. And Mordekaiser is just a beast in small fights. So once you pick up a couple of kills, he can snowball a fight pretty quickly. And 4Not, even if they take down Parole, even if they take down Graves, the rest of the team is just going to almost be too much for Troopers to deal with.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's because Mordekaiser is so strong, so tanky, and the utility coming out of Shen. I mean, they're going to have a ridiculous split pushing team. Shen can split push, Jace can split push. I'm fairly confident that 4Not at this point can win a 4v5 with the tankiness and the damage coming out of Mordekaiser. So if that's the case, they can really just take a big advantage by split pushing, and I think that's what we're going to see as we approach the late game. As Chuuper tries not to team fight because they're going to lose, the split pushing is going to be just a little bit too much for them to take.
Yeah, and it is interesting. One bad Brad going for more damage this game. He jumps onto Terra. The previous game, he had started off with the Bloodthirster and then went straight for the GA. But this game, you know, he's not facing a lot of pressure. And knowing that Mordekaiser and Graves are such huge threats for Chuuper, he knows even if he goes down, the other two of them are going to win the fight. So he doesn't need to go for that GA. He doesn't want people to stop targeting him. He still wants to be, you know, a little bit more of a target. But we'll see if they can force this. Shen's ultimate is down, so it's actually a 4v5 in favor of Chuuper, but they don't really realize it right now.
Yeah, and you're talking about Jace getting a lot of damage. I mean, last game we saw him with Frozen Heart, so you're absolutely right. I mean, it's definitely a complete turnaround, and because, like you said, they're going to be focusing so much on Mordekaiser, it's going to allow Jace to kind of do whatever he wants. But in that same regard, it's also going to allow him to go off and split push if that's what he wants to do too, and put him in a good position for that. And here we go. We have 4Not kind of just hanging out and poking down and waiting for that minion wave so they can push up into this tower, hopefully take that down. They are just so strong right now.
And it's interesting. We talked about in the past how strong Chuuper is on Ezreal and how strong of a pick Ezreal is. But Jace, you know, we've talked about how Jace sometimes needs to be a must-ban coming into this, you know, the end of the season, how strong he is. And 4Not, they're winning both Game 2 and Game 3 on the back of Jace. I mean, there's a lot of support that he has. He has a 300 CS Mordekaiser to lead the front line.
Yeah.
You know, Graves is doing pretty well as well, but the pressure that Jace is putting on him, this poke now is just brutal.
Yeah, they're really showing the flexibility of the champion, where last game he did remarkably well building tanky. In this game, he's doing even better going for that damage. So, he comes jumping in, daydreaming, getting burnt down really quick, but going on Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser is a lot lower than he wants to be right now. Nunu trying to make something happen. Ari with the orb doing a bunch of damage too, but Nunu just trying to poke away at Mordekaiser, but he's just
Lee Sin is a beast though, because he soloed Jace. He got the single kill, the double kill. He forces off Mordekaiser as well and chasing down Shen. I Am Terra single-handedly won them that fight. He cleaned up the entire thing. He could maybe even consider Baron at this point. They are all down. Kelsey's Young is low, but if they get the consume, I'm a little bit surprised they're not going for it, because he has enough damage. He has the Bloodthirster and the armor. And Lee Sin can almost one solo Baron, but he can definitely 2v1 Baron. So they're a little bit concerned that Nunu's too low, that he would just drop instantly, but I really think they could have pressured that and tried to use that Baron to turn around.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And really all there is Janna to try to make a difference, and I mean, she's way back in base. So yeah, they at least should have went for it. It would have allowed them to gauge where they are.
I guess they probably just knew how much damage it was, though. So, you know, for what I'm saying, I'm fairly certain they could have gone for it, but I guess yeah, maybe they just don't want to risk it.
Yeah, playing safe. It would have been a long Baron at that, so it would have put him in a bad position maybe to once that respawn happened. And you saw Janna kind of gunning right for Baron, thinking maybe they're going to go for it. Similar mentality to where you're at too, but didn't go for it. Instead, just playing it safe. And you know, you can't blame them for that. They kind of need to play safe at this point. There's a lot riding on this game. This is the last IPL5 qualifier. Nobody wants to get knocked out at this point. And we're seeing how safe Chuuper is playing to try to make that happen for him.
Yeah, but that previous fight, you know, definitely went pretty well for them.
Yeah.
They were able to kite out a lot of 4Not. The quick kill, you know, with the burst onto Janna, kind of started it off. So it's, you know, it's not the keyest target, but you do what you can. And because the rest of the targets are just too dang tanky, they have to go for, you know, Janna almost. And Graves in particular, if they can get Graves. But Lee Sin was able to zone off one bad Brad by himself. And so actually, if Brad had just dived into the middle of the team with the rest of them, try and burst off a couple of people, he might have been in a better situation. But Lee Sin zoned him, and he allowed him to. Brad just kind of ran away in fear, and Lee Sin was able to take him down. So I Am Terra doing a really nice job in that fight.
Yeah, that just, I mean, Lee Sin is a jungler, I'm sorry, is a champion who plays jungle, but in top lane who does a lot of damage, but also is very tanky. So definitely using that to the benefit. And he gets to that point where, and I mentioned this before, I mean, he's too tanky to focus, but does too much damage to ignore. So he's actually in a really interesting position on the team. And I mean, he has that Hex Drinker, he's got the Bloodthirster, he's got that Guardian. He's going to be in a good spot to initiate, to get into the back, and just try to do as much damage as possible to those carries.
And JD Wood now, he has that Oracle, so he can clear out the control. But one bad Brad jumping over the wall, picks up Nunu very quickly, along with Mordekaiser. They drop that kill. They had the ward coverage and just insta-killing him. They're actually not going for the Baron. They are coming in right for this inhibitor. They want to get that turret. They want to push because their pushing is lacking, and they should be able to do it fairly easily. Nunu can tank it for him, and not only that, Ahri and Leona are both out of position, and that turret is very low. So they're going to drop this inhibitor, and then they can try and pressure that Baron, try and force a fight. And there's not a lot that Chuuper can do about it right now.
Yeah, this is a really bad position for Chuuper. That Nunu ultimate played such an important aspect of that last team fight. Without having Nunu there, it's actually really bad news for Chuuper.
Oh, and Chuuper, they try and force the fight as they're going back and use both the Ahri and Leona ultimates. So that's another minute where they're going to be at a disadvantage now, because Mordekaiser's ultimate is a pretty short cooldown. It's going to be up in like 20 seconds, but that's a full minute that they are not going to be able to fight them. So we'll see if 4Not decides to try and pressure it at all. During that time, Parole, he can heal up a little bit off of minions. He doesn't have a lot of lifesteal, but it should be a little bit, and they're actually just going for it. Chuuper wants to force a fight while Parole's low.
Yeah, this is actually could be pretty bad for Chuuper. I mean, it is exactly what they need to get back in this game, and we saw how the Baron fight turned around game 2, but oh, they're going in on him, and oh my gosh, Zeno gets burned down pretty quick, and Jace doing some damage. And
yeah, the Janna ultimate turned it around. I Am Terra coming in, but Brad does go down. So Jace does fall down, and Chuuper actually turning it around because the Parole not that comfortable right now. There's the ultimate is back up for Ahri. If they can get into Parole, they can try and take him down. Chuuper picks up the kill, but Parole's going to turn it around. He gets the kill. He dashes out of there, but I Am Terra still has that GA, and there's the Leona ultimate. It just popped. The Whirlwind just barely surviving them, but the flash in. I Am Terra picks up another kill, the double kill, and they win another fight. So
Holy
Chuuper
smokes.
really close to turning this around.
Wow, Lee Sin really just putting in the work at this point. I mean, didn't even pop his GA in that fight. They're ignoring him, and they can't. His damage is getting ridiculous. He's going to go back, and he's going to buy some huge items. I don't know where you'd go for here. Maybe Maul of Malmortis or something. I'm not totally sure, but he's going to be just ridiculous at this point. And I mean, with that Hex Drinker shield, so hard to take down and going to be doing a lot. And I think, you know, big key there, Mordekaiser not in the greatest position, didn't get to do everything that he needed to do, and that is allowing Chuuper to come back from this. I didn't think they could do it, but now I'm actually feeling pretty good for Chuuper at this point.
Yeah, I was concerned that they wouldn't have enough damage, but picking off V-Man at the beginning of the fight, even if he didn't go down, they were able to wear him down a little bit. They had to use the Shen ultimate and the Mordekaiser ultimate a little bit early just to barely keep him alive, so he wasn't quite able to bully them around. And the Ahri, the damage is still scaling, you know, decently. And Ahri's damage does scale well. The only concern is it's a lot of single target damage. It is the AoE nuke with the Q, but you're primarily using it for single target damage, and that's the concern, is if they can't single target focus people from 4Not fast enough. So really, the answer to that, when you're facing a team that has single target damage like Ezreal and Ahri do at this point, you want to just engage on them and just, you know, rush them as a team. You want to all get really close, up close and personal with those bruisers. And right now, you know, Chuuper's done a really nice job of kiting them and dragging out those fights until they're able to just single target pick people off and allow Lee Sin to take care of business.
Yeah, I'm actually really, I guess, concerned is the word. You know, interested in why we're not seeing more split pushing out of Shen. I mean, they have such a strong.
Well, Shen's too slow though. I think that's the concern. And Shen, you can see a lot of split pushing in the past. We saw the split pushing with Jace, but if Shen's too slow to split push and now Jace doesn't have the teleport, that's kind of holding them off. Yeah,
that's actually really bad for them, and you're right, absolutely. So. I don't know. It's actually 4Nothing is kind of losing it here a little bit. You know, one team fight at a time. I can see why Chuuper is trying to force the issue. I mean, I think they know that they can win some of these fights, and even more so than we do. I mean, I was very hesitant even in that last fight up to the end when Lee Sin came in and did a bunch of damage. And I mean, Chuuper really knowing, you know, when they can take advantage of you know, a good team fight, a good initiation for them.
Yeah, so we'll see both teams are playing defensively right now. Not a lot of ward coverage because of the oracles from both. They're able to clear that out. But Chuuper, they don't really have the best coverage over on Baron, so they need to get up there. They're moving up quickly. As a team, Ezreal uses his ultimate just to check that it's not there, so you will see that they are safe. But I don't know, we'll see if they can force themselves out, or if 4Not can force a close range fight. That would definitely be in their favor. But both Ezreal and Graves are getting deep into those builds. Graves, you know, with his Infinity Edge, he has the Last Whisper as well. That's really going to help him take down some of these tanks like Lee Sin. And then, you know, everyone's just getting really deep in this build. So we'll see if Jace can try and poke them down a little bit and set up a really nice fight for them.
Yeah, hopefully Mordekaiser will be in a little bit better position. I think a lot of it comes with, you know, they're engaging him when he's really low on shield. He hasn't been around minions for a while, able to build up that shield and taking it down pretty quick. And just, yeah, I mean, playing a little bit less safe than they were previously, knowing they can go out a little bit and maybe start a fight, you know, with much better results than previously. I mean, they've been playing safe. They've been hugging towers. They're inhibs up now. They've been pushing the minions away, so they're actually in really good shape to you know, win this last team fight and hopefully push to at least take an inhibitor.
Well, and with all the lanes pushing for 4Not, they're in a really good situation where if they do win a fight, they will likely win. It's like you said, at least take an inhibitor. But Chuuper, one more fight, and they could, you know, almost be ahead of 4Not right now. They would be able to take that Baron and slowly push into him. That Baron would be huge at this point. Like, whoever gets the Baron is likely going to win the game at this point in the game. And so that's why both teams are kind of playing passively. And then one issue with Jace, even though his poke has been so strong so far, Lee Sin is just so tanky and has so much armor that Lee Sin's able to zone block it. He's able to just body block a lot of those shots from Jace. And then, you know, the rest of the team isn't really taking much of that harass, but a nice minion wave bottom. It was able to drop that tower. It is still pushing. No one's really gone to clear it because they are concerned. They don't want to leave that Baron area, and they need Chuuper right now because they don't have good ward coverage over by the Baron. They need to constantly push the wave into the up the mid lane so that 4Not is forced to come out. And then the first time 4Not doesn't come out to clear the wave, their immediate response has to be, oh my god, we have to run because they're taking Baron right now.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And you were talking about the tankiness of Lee Sin as well. I mean, he finished up that Maw of Malmortis, so he's going to be even more ridiculous to take down. GA, with that shield popping, he's going to be such a nuisance. He can just hang out in the back and do a lot of damage to Parole and to V-Man. So it's looking pretty good for Chuuper at this point. I'm really surprised. I mean, a lot of turnarounds in these games. I mean, of course, we didn't see game one, but big turnaround in the team fights. In game two.
We'll just say it. They had a good turnaround. It was a it was a comeback victory.
No,
it doesn't seem like it was at all, actually.
No, not at all. But yeah, so I mean, it really close game, and it's really going to come down to probably one more team fight, if not maybe two team fights. Really, whoever wins gets the Baron, can push up a little bit hard, and try to end it. And I mean, the poke from 4Nothing
trying to chase down Daydream, doesn't really get a good opportunity, and they will back off for a second. The charm not hitting Shen, but he is fairly tanky. And another Q chasing down Leona once again, trying to zone them off. They don't want to allow you know, anyone to get picked off. They want to have a nice organized fight. And this is actually kind of a dangerous spot for them. Once they get into the jungle, they're okay. And One Bad Brad jumping after him. The flash from Leona, it fails. The ignite, it is going to be enough to pick him off, I think. But One Bad Brad is very low. The Shen ult does help him off, but the Nunu ultimate, it is zoning the team. And Parole, he's not very comfortable, but he dashes over the wall. Then can they pick it up? They grab Lee Sin, and that is the turning point. Get down the Lee Sin, you win the game. The flash from Brad, he gets the EQ coming to pick up Nunu, and they flash over the wall. This is going to be game for 4Not at this point. Can they pick up Lee Sin? They do. The double kill for Jace, and it is a 4v1. They will be able to push down this inhibitor. They should be able to continue pushing. Actually, because none of the minion waves are up, it's going to be tough. They can't actually push the Nexus, but they can go back. They can get that Baron, and now an inhibitor in Baron, and they're in the driving seat once again.
Yeah, there's so much risk that comes with roaming around, trying to clear wards with the oracles as the support. You know, you don't have a lot to help you. I'm pretty sure, I mean, that wasn't the greatest of flashes coming out of Leona in the jungle there. So just getting caught out, panicked, tried to flash out, try to make something happen. Ezreal went in hard, trying to do some damage down on Jace. Leona ended up getting picked off, and that actually just started a chain reaction of people being out of position. V-Man in the back doing a lot of damage that burn down Lee Sin really quick, and it's an interesting point in the game when you have to. Your biggest concern is the damage that Lee Sin is going to put out. You know that things are a little bit weird on your team, and so we'll see how 4Nothing can hopefully. It looks like, I mean, they have the Baron, they have the poke. They should be able to, push up and end this game.
It's also at the point in the game where Lee Sin, he was really tanky through the mid game, not so much anymore because he's had to buy pure damage in order to keep up and be maintaining his presence, maintain being a threat. But he only has 2,000 HP and some good MR and armor from the GA. But at 2,000 HP, you can burst anyone down very quickly as a team at this point, which means that Lee Sin, he's going to die very quickly in these fights if they focus him down. And he's not going to be able to be that same presence that he was earlier on. They've just held off long enough where Lee Sin is going to drop off just because he's going to die almost instantly. So, we'll see if he can get in, be kind of tricky with the fights. But having the GA down after that last fight is going to make things very difficult for Chuuper to fight coming forward. And 4Not, they know it. They're pushing down for this bottom lane. They want to get another inhibitor here and try and end the game while they have this Baron.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out for them. Getting the Dragon, just continuing to leverage a lead here. And you're right, I mean, Lee Sin only has 2k health. I mean, Mordekaiser does what, 1 million damage at this point?
At least.
With the ultimate as Q, he's going to burn down really quick.
Mordekaiser is #1.
He's #1 with 1 million damage. So it's going to be really hard for Lee Sin at this point. He's going to want to dive in and try to do damage, but he's going to get burned down really, really fast.
Yeah, so they will start to pressure in on with the Baron regen. They can take a little bit of tower damage. They can poke down, themselves down a little bit, but they really need to wait for those middle and top lanes to push in. Ahri's going to try and hit those charms, but most of the targets are going to be kind of ineffectual at this point. They have 2 GAs as well, and they are both up, compared with the none currently up for Chuuper. So they pressure in really quickly. They drop the tower almost immediately. Ezreal trying to zone them off, but that next wave, that tower is going down.
Yeah, 4Not, all they really need to do is stall it out here, let mid lane push, and do the work for you. Mid lane can win the game if you can just hold out long enough, let it take the towers, put Chuuper's troopers in a position where they have to choose between the mid and the bot lane. And it's about to get to that point where the minion wave's about to move into the base. So it's going to be a really bad position for Chuuper's troopers. The tower goes down, the 6th member in this team fight goes down, leaving only the inhibitor. Oh my gosh, Leona, I don't agree with that. Leona gets burned down really quick, and this is going to force Chuuper's to initiate. Here comes the Nunu ultimate going down on Shen, and they're getting burned down really quick. And guys, this is going to be game right here. 4-0 with a remarkable game, burning down this inhibitor, poking down the Chuuper's troopers while they're in base, and here the minions are here to greet them to take down these turrets. And 4-0.
Just a huge miscommunication as Leona goes in for it. And Chuuper, they are missing their jungler from the previous game, and their support moves into that jungle spot. So that miscommunication, can partially be attributed to that. But Daydreamin' going in with really no hope for, anything there. The whole team gets bursted down very quickly, and they do lose that game. Really nice play from both teams, but in the end, 4Not turns around. They come back with the win, and that's not something we've seen a lot of from 4Not.
No,
they've been around for a long time. They're a very strong team, but lacking a little bit on the wins column.
Yeah, absolutely. They've had a lot of roster changes, which is, that sucks. I mean, it just sucks when you're constantly changing rosters. But yeah, they're winning, and Chuuper's. I mean, Chuuper's is a pretty strong team in North America too. They're up and coming. They've taken down. They took down CLG in the last qualifier, CLG-NA, I believe. No, qualifier 2. So, I mean, they have the experience, they have the skill, they do pretty well for themselves. So, big win for 4Not with this new roster. It must feel really good for the organization and for the players, too.
Yeah, really impressive job. We'll see, how they do coming forward. It is a very tough roster.